From the public, I don't see anyone. Did you receive anything written? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 3, receive president and director's comments. Okay. I just wanted to give a shout out to Aaron Schindewolf and the staff. We had an interesting meeting today at Waterwell number 3 alongside a representative Lakeside Cove Community Association. It was in regard to a potential easement for laying down pipe when that well is eventually worked, I use the term worked over, but rehabbed.
Yes.
Okay. But it seems that the best location is on the golf course. So that's something that's going to just be worked. And Chris, I asked you a couple of months ago about repairing concrete around a manhole on the southbound Grogan's Mill, where the GRP pipeline goes. That's being squared away. So thank you. All right. Moving on to item number 4. Consider an act on requests for adjustments to or relief from specific charges imposed by the district. Kim, or I guess Jeannie's not here.
I do not have it.
Okay, that's good. All right, we move on to the consent agenda. I'm not going to read out everything. Just to make note, on our item 5, there are 2 meetings that we need to consider the minutes for, April 16th, and the all director meeting on April the 1st. Both of those are in your packet.
Yeah.
And I think Ron and Pat were at both meetings. So item 6, 7, and 8 are regular reports from staff. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll say.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to the regular agenda. Item 9, receive the monthly SGRA Woodlands Division. Jason?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It'll be me this time unless you just need Chris.
Oh, no, you'll do a better job.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
you're gonna have the details.
Yes, sir. Well, our information starts on page 17. Routine month. I don't really have anything to add to the information unless you have questions. We can answer them.
Yeah. Let's see. Just a minor correction.
Yes.
Since we were talking about earlier about water well number 3 on page 24, the location is in Mud 6, and it's off secluded trail in Lakeside Cove. It says Mud 47 both wells.
Okay. I definitely will correct the note.
Because I think water well 3 got moved up in the sequence. I think
Yes.
previously there were 2 wells in Mud 47.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We'll split that out next month.
Okay. Again, a minor thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone have any questions for SGRA? Okay. Let me check if I have anything else. I don't think I do. Okay. So moving on, Brian, glad you could join us. We want to receive your report under item 10.
Well, mainly focused on legislative session still, reported on some bills at the trustee meeting. Interested in specific ones referring to the video. The session ends in about a week and a half on June the 2nd. After that, we'll see if the governor decides to call a special session for any items. At this point.
So he's got pretty much everything he's been asking for, right?
That's
The big things.
hard to say,
Oh, okay,
hard to say.
All right.
That's all I have on the attorney's report today.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, moving on to item 11, receive and or act on the general manager's report. And we start at page 36. Eric.
Yes. Just wanted to update you that we are continuing to do the assessments on the ditches and the ditch piping across all of the woodlands. We're about 75% done or so. So we got a little bit more to go. Hopefully we'll have it done by the end of June, and that will help us be prepared to talk budget and capital improvement in the summer. Reminder that there is an all MUDS meeting on June 10th. Topic will be to hear from HDR on the AC water line evaluation that's been going on for about 9 or 10 months now, almost a year maybe. So that's June 10th, same place, 5:30, community center, be there or be square.
That's open to the public too, right?
I'm sorry,
That is open to the public.
technically it is, yeah, they're open.
It is a public meeting. I mean, yeah, okay.
Wanted to point you to the trustee summary where we have a brief summary on the GRP. I mentioned that I would continue to give updates on that. I
Which page you on? Sorry. The trustee.
54.
Oh, okay. All right.
54, bottom of 54. That trustee or that GRP summary is from the previous GRP committee meeting in April. However, because of the way the dates fell, the newest GRP meeting was 2 days ago. So this summary is from last month. I can update you just verbally on Monday that we saw the draft budget, no decision on that. And then all of the members indicated that they would be interested in looking at increasing utilization of the plant. So I think that was maybe a breakthrough. We'll see going forward, but don't know what that means ultimately, but I took it as a positive. So that's all I had on that one. Wanted to point you to a few different articles. We kind of put quite a few in this month, different things going on in the area, different municipalities. I encourage you to take a look at that. And with that, I'll kick it to John. Oh, and on the report itself, I'm sure you've noticed, but we continue to enhance that and make sure that we put quite a bit more information into the general manager's report in the packet, so you can kind of see what we're doing. There wasn't a whole lot specific to MUD 6 this month in terms of work, but we have identified some good stuff that we will be likely tackling here in the next couple months. That'll make its way in there.
I did have a question on page 43 of the packet about 3-4-inch AMI meters being replaced. Is there some issue with them or is?
Now, I recall budget setting, we put in the budget to start changing out the 3 and 4-inch AMI meters because they weren't changed out years ago.
Oh, okay,
Decision made back years ago when all of the AMI meters were switched out, that the larger diameter ones were not at that point. And so this was an effort to start getting those
Get caught
up
up.
to date.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
So it was authorized as of October 1 in that this budget, current year budget, it was a 6-month lead time on buying them. They basically all come in now, and now it's just a matter of starting to get them put in.
Okay.
So across all the woodlands, and I think all of the MUDs agreed to start changing them out. So we really focused on 3-inch and 4-inch now, and then likely I'll bring to you this next budget, start tackling the 6, 8, 10.
Oh, bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Fewer of them, more expensive.
A lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty sharp when you get into the bigger diameters.
Okay. Any other questions for, okay, John?
Afternoon.
Hey, John.
Page 47, your communications report. We're in the last month of our second quarter of our strategic plan with focus on water quality. We're going to pivot to water conservation for the summer months. You'll see a heightened emphasis on that in the next few months. Community Working Group, which is part of the Infrastructure Renewal Communications Campaign. They had their 4th meeting at wastewater treatment facility number 1 on May 13th. They got an excellent presentation from the staff there, lots of really good information. Everyone was very enriched by that. It's a good tour. Eric also provided a broad overview of the 4 alternatives for renewal of that plant. And then we have a 5th meeting scheduled for July 1. Rollo will be there and they will present information from their analysis thus far to that group. We have a couple videos in production. We've got a whole series plotted out. We want to get a couple out this summer. One is just about a 2-minute video on who Woodlands Water is, some of the faces of the agency. I'm talking to the general audience about who we are and what we do. And then we have a second video planned for our water supply, helping folks understand how it goes from source to tap. That'll be a kind of a mix of interviews and animation, help folks better understand how they get their water. We also, on Monday, secured the services of a social media specialist, Stephanie Williams. She's part-time, and she's gonna be focused really on developing more video content, especially short video content for social media, or reels, if you will. We're just trying to be more engaging with the information we put out, make it more digestible for folks. And I think she's gonna be a big help with that.
She will also be coming to the PEC meetings, right?
I'd be great if she could sit in on those from time to time at least.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you spell the last name?
Williams,
Oh, Williams. Okay, I misunderstood.
Stephanie Williams.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, all right. Got some current market materials on the next couple of pages, and then on page 50, we have our outreach calendar. I did want to note, especially to this group, unfortunately, I will not be at the farmers market, as it says here, this Saturday. That slot was actually already filled, so we're getting bumped to June. So I'll be out there in June. We're trying to maintain that monthly presence out there, as well as other outreach events. I'll see you out there in June.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 12, consider and act on authorizing WWA to evaluate the MUD SFDUE wastewater allocations for WRF #1 service area.
All right, at the special trustees board meeting on April 22nd, the trustees requested that this item be put on all the month's agendas. There was a question about an interest in looking at the overall capacity that was being contemplated in the evaluation by Corolla, which results in a 7 MGD plant being, evaluated. There was interest in confirming the SFDUEs that were used in the 6th and final, and then kind of updating that information to today to identify if that's still a good number. And so that's really the crux of this item is having us go in and basically reevaluate the 6th and final to identify if we're still in good shape with that number. So a couple months ago, unrelated to this, really, Kim and I started working to create the software with our GIS consultant to rebuild the 6th and final, because the software that was used was obsolete. We weren't able to manipulate or really use it for any projections or anything. And I didn't feel comfortable with that, so I wanted to rebuild it so we could have something that we could continue to use each year as we, work with SGRA on capacities. So we need a motion to authorize us to proceed.
Just a couple of questions, if I could. And I don't know if my fellow board members have seen all of the presentations. Hopefully at the special trustee meeting, there were 2 presentations, one from SGRA, one from Corolla. And the presentation from SGRA did go into some background about SFDUEs, and there are groupings of them, if you will, that go into the planning criteria. So we have existing SFDUEs that are utilized, and then a group called 2027 SFDUEs for when there's a build out by 2027, and then there's additional developments. So there's 3 different categories, if you will. Will you be creating these same categories as you develop, go through the database?
I don't know if I'll specifically use those exact ones, but we'll identify, basically as of now, 2025,
Right.
what's being utilized.
Right.
So we'll go into each parcel and confirm what's being utilized.
Mhm.
And then we'll need to take a look at the undeveloped properties to see if, you know, if it's, we'll probably need to confirm or at least look at a crystal balling, if you will, of the undeveloped properties to see if what was contemplated in the sixth and final is still realistic.
Yeah.
Or is still on the radar for our use. So we'll maybe get some coordination there just to.
With Howard Hughes.
Likely, we'll
Yeah.
probably look at, unless we look at the sixth and final and say, yeah, this was reasonable
Okay.
and move on, but we'll probably do some confirmation with them.
Because we, yeah, we have the 7th supplemental agreement that actually specifies the number of SFDUEs that MUD 6 is contracted to. Okay. So hypothetically, if there was some difference from these numbers, we would have to execute a further supplemental agreement. Is that
Not
going
necessarily.
too far?
No, yeah, I don't know that will be necessary. I think we'll have to cross that bridge, but ultimately that's what you own, and ultimately whatever the numbers are is what you're going to need.
Yeah.
And likely, you know, the sixth and final contemplated a capacity that was SFDUEs times 217.
And that's shifted, isn't it?
Well, it's being proposed as shifting.
Okay.
In the latest two evaluations from Freeze,
Right.
which created the 7 MGD at 200,
Right.
lowering the 7.8 MGD permit now to 7 MGD.
Yeah.
That's right. So with that shift, that hasn't triggered any, you know, difference in capacity. Ultimately, I think the MUDs want to make sure that they have the capacity necessary to meet the demands that their district needs. And so sixth and final was supposed to do that. Now, there's been a couple additional supplementals for a few MUDs to add a little bit more capacity between the sixth and final and now. We'll take that into consideration as well as we do the verification on the GIS system. Anyways,
And what time frame are we looking at to go through the evaluation?
ideally, probably a couple months. That's what we're shooting for.
So will each MUD receive its number, or however you want to call it, SFDU?
Probably, yeah. I mean, we'll be able to break it out.
Okay.
Keep in mind too, is that the sixth and final didn't specifically didn't separate service areas for plants. It just said, here's the capacity.
Yeah.
So the GIS tool will allow us to basically, for lack of a better term, geofence the connections that just are focused on wastewater treatment plant number 1.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We'll do it for the entire woodlands,
Right.
but for this, we're just gonna kind of carve it out for wastewater treatment.
And that will roll into then some assessment or reassessment of capacity of the plant, or potentially.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. We might come out to the exact number. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, I don't know what it'll tell us.
Right. We're not trying to forecast things, but just.
Keep in mind, I wanted to be very specific that this is to identify the SFDUs for that service area.
Yeah.
So not for all of it.
Okay.
Candidly, we'll be doing it for all of it, but this is specifically to focus on the service area for West Richmond.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board?
Yes, but I don't know if I understand all of this really. In the undeveloped area for Howard Hughes, 2027 and beyond, are they going to be able to be that clairvoyant or even share all that information with us? Things like the Ritz-Carlton facility, were they in the plan 4 years ago? I just wonder about all this.
Don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's something that we'll take a look at. I mean, ultimately, there would have been an allotment for an allocation for each tract. And that went into the Simpson file. So whatever that was, whether they nailed it on each one, probably not. I mean, you can, it's tough for any developer. I used to do it for developers as an engineer to try to forecast a particular tract or a land use for a particular tract. And you can do some educated guesses on what you can get on a certain acreage and certain location with certain frontage and those types of things, put in those into consideration, but you never know. I mean, a developer will come in and say, I really want to do something on this particular thing on that tract. And that might not have been what was contemplated, you know?
Well, the obvious concern to me in Mud Six is that area right around the resort and conference center, which is a lot of acreage.
That's a big
Lot of
tract.
attractive
Yeah.
paths here to increase traffic, but also probably very attractive. They still got the Howard Hughes sign out there for future development.
Yes, that's right.
There on North Milton.
Yeah, what I think is kind of a wild card here too, and I don't know that even Howard Hughes can answer this, is what's redevelopment gonna look like too in various areas? I mean, you're experiencing some already a little bit, you know, I think, and we're running out of undeveloped properties in the Woodlands, so, but we know that the mall and certain other things may be redeveloped. So what does that look like? What does that end up meaning for allocation capacity? Just because it's redeveloped doesn't mean it's redeveloped with a greater density necessarily. It could, maybe not, maybe it's just an improvement, maybe it's not more capacity. It's just different or improved, whatever, who knows? So those are the types of things that, you know, I think we'll need to likely have some sort of buffer in, you know, in capacity.
Yeah.
You'll have to, you don't want to cut yourself short, so. We'll do our best to kind of work through that part of it on the undeveloped stuff.
Yeah, a couple of other items that, you know, developments that come to mind, you know, that large apartment complex at Six Pines and Riva Row, as well as the transformation of the Randall's building into something I think is going to be more fully occupied by people. So does that change any capacity demands in the near future for both?
Future plans for the current community center and library too.
Yeah, well, that's another, well, that's not in our mud,
Oh, that's
but
true. That's right.
yeah, so.
River Row is, yeah.
Yeah, Evero is, yeah. So they're the kinds of things that we all have been thinking about, and hopefully that can be captured as you go through this exercise, at least as far as MUD 6 is concerned. I'm sure it'll be the case, obviously, for the other MUDs. Any other question? Oh, okay, so if someone could please make a motion to authorize Woodlands Water Agency to evaluate the MUD SFDUE wastewater allocations for water reclamation facility number 1, service area.
So
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So, okay, item 13, receive the Woodlands Water Trustees report and go to page 50 for that. Now, Eric is already covered, I think, an item or two out of there. Let's see, I know I've got a typo to fix on page 55, Shelley, last sentence there. This information is already not to the trustees, but with the trustees, already have it. So did you see that? It's all right. I can get with it later. Any questions on the trust?
The stormwater flow wastewater treatment plan says that all the MUDs have participated except MUD 36. Can clarify that?
Yeah, you remember back in December, we all voted, MUD 6 voted on the Garver recommendation. I just happen to carry these things around with me all the time. And all the MUDs are listed except for MUD 36, and they have not participated thus far. Is that correct?
Correct. So a few years ago, there was an analysis done to look at the condition of the retail side, the MUD side of the sanitary sewer lines. And it was determined that there are various areas that need to be addressed, whether it was relining a pipe or relining manholes, things like that, to tighten up the system so it doesn't leak as much, really to absorb rainwater. It's called ion infiltration. INI is what generally will cause these big spikes on rain events at the wastewater treatment plant. So that's why the conversation is, applicable to the wastewater treatment plant. Coming out of that analysis, it was identified, I think it was because of just cost constraints, that the repairs that were contemplated in the analysis would be broken up over 3 years or so, or 3 phases. And so last fall, beginning of this year roughly, phase one of the construction was complete. Phase two was bid a few months ago and is about to go to construction. And then phase three is in design. So there was a district that didn't have the funds when phase one was being contemplated to start design a few years ago at the time, and they opted out. They weren't able to do some of the work that was needed specifically in the 36. They've since come into some surplus funds from some old bond projects, and they did budget just under $300,000 to do a little bit. I think they had about $1 million worth of stuff overall, and they're gonna hit, you know, kind of the worst 300,000 of it, roughly, best we can. So that'll be in phase three.
All right. So back to, any other questions about the trustee? Okay. Let's see. Do we need to go to closed session? All right, so we don't need to reconvene. Going to item 16, any matters for placement on a future agenda? Nothing, okay. Well, it is now 1:56 p.m. Meeting's adjourned.